Coming at you live from Hockey Night in Alex, Zamboni.
So here's my Zamboni. It's actually a good running machine. It was a working machine when the city bought a brand new one. I had one before and I sold it. Did well on it. This one here, I haven't been advertising. Really, as the winter's coming, I should be advertising. There's a lot of little arenas all over the place that have old antique machines, and this is a reasonably new one, and it works well. But I always thought what a guy needed to do is really need to sell this to a rich guy, put it in his garage or in his basement, build a house around it. And then he could put a big screen TV on the side of it, and you could fill it with beer. You'd have your TV over here, and then at halftime you could flip it up and all the beer would come rolling out. Or you can have it set up so you're sitting there by the TV and you just pull the lever and beer would come rolling out of the Zamboni. It'd be great for a hockey fan to have it in his garage. Or if you wanted to get in trouble to have, after the period's over, they could just open the garage doors, drive out in the street, make a couple of turns and back in the garage again.
You made me wax the old one for 4 hours before you sold it.
1978 Lincoln Town Car. I don't particularly care for it, but I didn't want to see it go to a bad home, so I'm keeping it for somebody that needs it comes and buys it from me. Here, I was going to get it running this year, and of course I didn't get it running this year. I mean, it runs, but I was going to get it so it's working. I got to change pads, I got to put a rear seal in it, I want to replace the door. Back here's an old Ford Halfton. I guess what makes it rare is it's not really a Ford, it's a Mercury, which is a fancy Ford. It's a Canadian-built Ford. Look at that. This is kids being bad kids. Isn't that a fine sight for sore eyes, eh? This should be a 1952 Dodge. It was a military truck. It was actually an ambulance. And the funny thing was Brian Pirro used to own it, and we used to go partying in it back in the 70s. And I rode in the back of the ambulance, and we'd have a bunch of guys and girls and be bouncing through the bush at Long Lake before they put up fences and guardhouses and everything else at the campsite. Just anybody could drive anywhere. We had a lot of good times in it. This here's a 1975 Cargo Star International 1910 with a King Seagraves pumper body on it. It's got 15,000 miles on it. I've had it a number of years, and the kids again pitching rocks cracked the window. They've been playing in it. Here are boats now. This boat here is about a 38, I think it's about 38 and a half feet long. It's a 1920s Rum Runner. This boat supposedly went 70 miles an hour in 1920, early 1920s. They had nothing that could catch it. Airplanes didn't hardly go that fast. This one here could easily have been one of Al Capone's boats. Like I say, it was built off of Seattle. Like Al Capone worked right across the Canadian-American border, right from coast to coast. But anyway, so this boat was captured by the U.S. Navy, and then World War II, it was brought up to Norman Wells for the Canal project, where they're building the pipeline from Norman Wells to Whitehorse and then over into Alaska to fuel the war effort. I can't find any numbers on it. I'd like to find the exact history, but I know that there is a possibility of one of Al Capone's boats. And it's a pretty neat boat, but like it would have to be totally tore apart, totally rebuilt. I don't know if it has that much value. There's people that told me it did, and then other people, I mean, this thing, I saved it from the dump. It was going to go to the dump and be crushed. I'm not really a boat guy, but for some reason, all of a sudden, I got a bunch of boats. So this here is my understanding, I think I found a tag, but I don't seem to be able to find it again. It's called, it's built, a hull-built boat, H-A-L-L. Built boat out of, I think, Vancouver. It's a flat bottom hot rod. It's just made, this boat's made just to go fast and make a lot of noise.
You want a good boat?
Get out of there, good flying. Get out of there before you hurt yourself. It's grief. And the crash of the boat with no motor. I'm a little more into this one. That's where the boat started. I mean, I bought it by accident. I'm at a Ritchie sale, and
It all
Whatever
started
the
in a
price
Richie
was.
sale.
Bought it by
I
accident.
bid on the boat. I was walking over to look at it. Sold. I never even saw the boat. I already had bought it. This is an interesting hull. It's fairly well known. Built in Palo Alto, California. Probably like 1975 or so. Fiberglass, 18 foot. It's called this boat's a super sidewinder, and it's got the wrong windshield. Actually, windshield starts here, and it's a real shallow windshield. Got a 455 Oldsmobile jet drive. It goes real good. I've been waiting all summer for the seats. I paid $2,000 for the darn. I buy the boat, and now to sell it, I got to fix it. So as I fix it, I started out with a boat for $2,000. I've got like $8,000 in it now. And I need a part for the trailer because a part fell off the trailer when I hit a hole. But I got a brand new set of white seats for it. Cost me $2,000. The body shop said in the spring they'll paint it for $1,000. And look, and all I need, if I can get a windshield, maybe a couple other pieces there just to get it all stock, it'll be basically really good shape. And I don't know, like on the internet they're saying, there's guys asking $15,000 for it. I guess I'll put it in the water and see what it does, see how much fuel it burns. I'd almost like that 455 Olds engine. I'd rather put it into a 70s Oldsmobile instead.
Ever, bud?
But there we are. I'm a boat person now. Here's my pride of joy, old 309. I bought this a couple of years ago. The 2000 Kenworth with a 475 cat, 13-speed in it. It's a little bit scarred up, just like the guy that owns it, but it's a pretty truck. I ran it last year on the winter road. I think I made 7 trips to the diamond mines, and then last year and this year I made 1 trip into British Columbia hauling stuff to my own gold mining project there.
Dad's a gangster.
So how do you like this for a rat rod? How's that for patina? There's more stuff living in and on this car than in the bush. This is probably my rarest, my best car. As ugly as it is, probably one of the ugliest cars, but one of my best cars. This is a 1958 Impala convertible. And a lot of people wouldn't think so, and most people have no idea what it is. It's, after all these years, it's still fixable. I found it in the bush, half a mile from the territory's border, 40 years ago. Later, I had a fellow. What's going on back there?
I'm trying to get through here.
Look, get out of here! Goodness gracious, you're gonna poke your eye out. What the heck's the matter with you?
I know, I was like cutting through the woods.
Go sit down someplace. You're gonna hurt yourself.
Oh.
Holy mac! By myself with 2 jackhauls with a 1-ton Ford with a 12-foot deck on it. And I got this thing, like you try to load this by yourself onto a 1-ton Ford that's this high with the A-frames of what's there hanging down. I got it up I was piling brush underneath the car, and I jack it up and I pile it until I got way up in the air, like brush up to here, and I got the deck under the front end, and I had to come along, and I was jacking the back end. Like I fought with this car for 12 hours. Sweat poured, a rose bush, I was all scratched up. I had more slivers stuck in me than the rose bush that was growing there. And I got it on there. All I had was a rope. I just threw a rope over the top, like over the doors. And I told, and at the same time, this is at the border, so that's like 350 miles from Yellowknife. Back in the day when it was gravel roads, it wasn't paved or anything. And it just happened that my sister was driving out, and I think my wife, there's a bunch of them driving out that same day. And I said, well, make sure, just check, stop. I'm just half a mile from the border. Check to see if I'm there. Like I might hurt myself or need some help or whatever. And of course, it was a time of the year when it's basically almost daylight 24 hours a day. So here comes this 1978 Ford Fairmont, goes buzzing by, and it stops about 100 yards down the road. And I thought, well, there's my sister. So I run out there, and of course they get out, the women get out, and they're behind the car having a pee. And I'm running, hi, screaming my head off. Of course, it's scared if they pull up their pants, they're all getting in the car. Hold it, don't go. Finally, they managed to figure out it was me before they took off, thinking I was some kind of bush monster or Yeti or whatever they have here in the middle of the night.
It's the
And anyway, so And then I came through the ditch with that one rope over top of this car, and when I came through the ditch with the 1 ton, because, I mean, the car is 20 feet long, and you got 12-foot decks, there's only about this much car on there. I come through the ditch, and I had to take a run out of that old 1 ton, bounce through the ditch. The car turned crossways. When I got out on the road, the car was sitting crossways in the truck, so then we had to use their car. And then I went to High Level. I took it 300 miles south on the highway. I went to High Level, I took it to the RCMP, to look at it, say, well, is it stolen, or, I want this car. It's been sitting in the bush for 100 years. I mean, the policeman said, oh, what a great car. And he said, well, it's all stripped. Like, who cares if it's stolen or not, take it home. And then I think I have ownership on it. I should check. I hope that I do, because I would like to put this on the road. I'm thinking, like, I can't afford to fix these cars. I'm thinking, the one you're leaning on is a parts car. I can build an engine, transmission, and I can just put seats in it and just drive it the way it is. I'll put a windshield or whatever to make it legal. And to heck with the paint and stuff. I mean, the cops are not going to give me a ticket because I got no paint. They'll give me a ticket if I have no headlights. So I can put headlights and tail. I could just even make up headlights and taillights. And it still look cool going down the road, even if it's missing the roof. I just wear a big hat.
Like Mad Max.
Wouldn't be tall like Mad Max. This is a 1958 Chevy 4-door Biscayne, 6-cylinder. I think it might be an automatic too, I never looked. But this is the parts car for this one. So with these two cars, I could almost make this one legal if I put a windshield in it.
We're back with Chaos from the junkyard.
This is a 52 Chevy. And I'm not sure, I saw one down south that was cooler than this. But I'm sure the one I saw was this is a 2-door post. The one I saw, I swear the back end was sloped a little bit, and I think the trunk looked a little longer. So I don't know. I don't know if this is a club coupe or a businessman's coupe or just a 2-door sedan. This is my brother's property over here. So we have this little problem. So you see the power line up here? See, the power line is the property line, and my brother gets excited with me because it seems like my cars are sticking over the property line onto his side. I try to explain to him that he should be happy because I only have 150 vehicles. One time I had 500, and 300 of them were in his yard. Until one day I went out of town, they hauled them all to the dump. This is a 72 boat tail Riviera. Look at this, Andrew. There is an albino wasp.
That's an exoskeleton.
Exoskeleton. It's a wasp that was an albino that passed away from ODing on sunlight. This is a 1970 Dodge Power Wagon, a 100. 318 engine, automatic transmission, 4-wheel drive. And this one was parked, this truck, why I got this one, was the bearings went out of the rear end. So the rear end's still in it, didn't blow up totally, but there's no bearings, everything's clunking around. It's Friday. And it looked a lot better than I got it. It's been sitting here over 20 years and had some rust. Somebody backed into it with a tow truck, and the roof's falling down. I got a bunch of parts. It's a neat truck. I wouldn't mind having this thing running, but finding the time. 1949 Mercury. Engine's free, got clean oil in it, you can turn it over by hand. I'm thinking about taking it to one in the garage and getting them to start it for me. That little pickup, it's, the Americans had the Fords, Canadian had Fords and Mercury. The Mercuries tend to have a little bit of chrome on them that the Fords didn't have. Mercuries are built in Canada. 1962 Coupe de Ville, 60,000 miles. Yvonne Quick drove this to town, she told me, back in the late 60s or right at the beginning of the 70s. She said she was driving, she was wearing a mink coat, and she had $10,000 cash in a paper bag beside her. And she said that she was coming up here, she was mixed up with the airline business. There was supposed to be a big pipeline built, and she was coming up here to finance a flying whorehouse. And the idea was to get a DC-3 and put all these women, believe it or not, she's about 90 years old right now, you can ask her yourself, I'm not making this up. And she said she's going to put a bunch of good looking women on this airplane, and you'd pay so much you'd land at one of these airports at the oil pipeline camps, And the guys that pay so much to join the Mile High Club, and they load them up and they take them up there with the girls and then bring them back. That was her goal when she came here. Of course, at that time we didn't get the pipeline, we didn't get the flying whorehouse, and I've got the Cadillac. Here's our super dump truck. This is 1952 U.S. Air Force Mac rock truck. 28-inch rubber on it. I think an LWB, model LWB Cummins engine. The engine got seized. It came to town, it was running. They hauled clay with it. They put it's only got a 10-yard box. They put sideboards on it for clay. And I'd like to take it gold mining. 50 Cummins in it. Fairly rare truck. It came off originally, it was the U.S. Air Force on the DEW line, which were the radar sites all across the north from Alaska, across northern Canada to protect us to see when the Russians are coming to bomb us. And so when they were done with that DEW line, truck came out, ended up in my yard.